I'm not someone who uses Reddit. My posts may come across weird because I don't exactly know how to make a proper post here. I only did this because my friends wanted me to vent somewhere where I will be anonymous. I'm 16 years old and recently my family has dumped me at a homeless shelter. I know this may sound fake or made up, but it's not. I wish I were making things up right now because I can't believe this happened to me. My mom, 46 female, and dad, 50 male, have decided to start a new life without me. They don't want me in their lives anymore because I may or may not be an affair child. 2 weeks ago, my dad caught my mom having an affair with a mutual friend. After a lot of digging and denial, it was discovered that my mom had been having an on and off affair with him for the last 18 years. Yeah, you read that right. My mom, who was always so in love with my dad, was actually cheating on him. Mom and dad have been together since college. They were the ideal couple in everyone's eyes. Now, it looks like all of it was a lie. My dad was devastated and my mom was a mess. She begged my dad to punish her and do whatever he wanted instead of leaving her. After a week of arguments, Mom and Dad decided that they would start over, but without me. Why? Because they think I might be an affair child. I don't know whose idea it was to get me out of the family, but they did just that. I was at home because school just ended 3 days ago. After I came back from school, my parents treated me to a great meal, watched my favorite movies with me, bought me some presents, tucked me in bed. I thought things were getting better, and the next evening my mom took me out for a ride and dropped me off at a homeless shelter. She had my bags packed when I went out for a run that morning. I cried and begged her not to do this. My mom just coldly told me that my parents wanted a fresh start and clearing the dirt was the first step. I am the dirt. I am the thing that would remind my dad of Mom's affair. I needed to be tossed so that they could start afresh. I can't believe this, even though it happened. Mom literally kicked me out of the car and drove away. She told me not to bother coming home. I couldn't anyway since she dropped me off in the next town. I was alone in a strange place with only the homeless shelter to go to. When my mom left, I waited 3 hours for her to come back, and then I called my maternal grandparents and told them everything. I was a crying mess and they were extremely worried about me. They told me to go back to the house since they were the ones who actually owned the place and let my parents live there for free. I didn't want to go back because I stopped feeling safe around my parents. After a lot of thinking, Grandpa called up an old friend of his who came to get me. I stayed with his family that night and he put me on a flight to my grandparents' city the next morning. I am now staying with them. My grandparents and the extended family have invited my parents to their place for a party. What my parents don't know is that the party will be a confrontation. My grandparents have made some plans to punish them. They won't tell me what it is. They just told me to be present while they tear my parents a new one. I can't believe this is happening. I'm nervous about the confrontation and don't know what to expect. I've been going out of my mind, so I thought venting here would help. Thanks. Edit. I have been receiving comments wanting to know why my dad was sure that I was the result of the affair. Well, he is sure just because he's sure. The timeline of Mom's affair aligns perfectly with the time I was conceived. So my dad believes that I'm not his child. They had been trying for only 2 months before Mom found out she was pregnant with me. My dad sort of believes that it's impossible to get pregnant by trying only a few times. Apparently that's what everyone had kept telling him. It was just too convenient to assume that I wasn't his child than going through the whole circus of getting paternity tests. My mom would rather just go along with whatever Dad wanted than actually do a paternity test on me. She is desperate to save the marriage and is willing to do anything to make it happen. Her marriage is more important than her own child. Yes, there is a possibility that I'm not my dad's biological daughter, but I am definitely my mom's biological daughter. I just can't wrap my head around that my own mother would do this to me. Some of you guys have been bashing me for not considering my dad's feelings. I'm considering my dad's feelings. I know that it has been terrible for my dad to discover my mom's affair. He loved her for over 2 decades. I won't lie and say that he has been a horrible dad to me. He was the best father right until the time he started to doubt my paternity. Now, I don't know what to feel about him. I don't want to be harsh on him and say that he's being unfair. I get it that he's heartbroken, but the thing is, even if he's not biologically my father, I consider him my dad. I cried and begged him not to do this to me. I kept telling him he was the only father I wanted in my life. I want nothing to do with the other man, even if he turns out to be my biological father. I did everything possible to reassure my dad, but I guess biology means more to him than me. Again, I don't want to blame him too much, I guess. It's just that I can't help but feel abandoned by the people I call my parents. I was always told that parents love their children unconditionally. I know now it's all a lie. Also, contrary to all your beliefs, I didn't ask my grandparents to do any of this stuff. I was helpless, didn't know where to go or what to do. I'm a minor, so I can't really find my own place. No one would rent to a minor anywhere. I simply can't stay at the homeless shelter all of a sudden. I have school and I have expenses. Eventually I would have had to tell them who I was and where I came from. I was an emotional mess and panicked hard when my mom just left me to fend for myself. I did the first thing that came to my mind. I called my grandparents and asked for their help with a place to stay. That's pretty much it. Update 1. I made this post randomly when my anxiety reached its peak and I simply couldn't keep this all within me. It was meant to be a cathartic experience, letting it all out. I didn't expect people to read this or comment. My friends were the ones who told me to go on Reddit and make a post. They told me that it might make me feel better after letting things out. They also said I may find someone who's been in a similar situation in the past. What my friends didn't tell me was how much support I would actually get from here. It's a little hard for me to believe that absolute strangers on the internet would extend their love and support towards me. Yes, I did find some hurtful comments, but they were quickly overshadowed by the good ones. I think my friends underplayed just how much support I would get from here. I know my friends will read this update, so here is a message for them. I see what you guys did. Thanks for bringing me here. In the last 24 hours, I have been DM'd by countless people who have told me that I deserve better. Some of you have reached out with your own stories and how being the affair child affected you. I've replied to as many DMs as possible, and it did feel good to know that I am not alone in all this. Then again, my heart breaks for you guys. At least I have my grandparents. Some of you didn't even have that. A few trolls have been repeatedly harassing me, saying things like my dad shouldn't deal with an affair child and all that jazz. Yeah, I know. He has it hard, but guess what? I have it hard too. It just sucks that some people can so easily forget that the affair children are innocent in all this. Somehow, they always become collateral damage while the adults fight between themselves or try to solve their marital problems. Again, I don't know about my dad, but at least my mom should have done better. She shouldn't have cheated and then abandoned her child to save her marriage. I'm starting to see just how much of a crappy person my mom is. Okay, now that I've got that out of the way, I will talk about why I'm back here. I wanted to give you an update here since people wanted to know how the confrontation went. My cousins were jokingly calling it a party to lighten my mood. That's why I called it a party. I'm well aware that there is nothing fun or celebratory about this, and that's exactly what the mood was like at the party I talked about. My parents were told that this was going to be only a simple reunion for the family, but there was a surprise for them too. I think my mom was hoping that my grandparents would finally get the house that they had been eyeing for a while. Their first disappointment came when they saw me at the party. I swear my mother went as white as a ghost as soon as she saw me. My dad looked uncomfortable but not freaked out like my mom did. My mom got so panicky that she literally asked me what I was doing at the party. And that's when my grandma asked my mom why I wouldn't be at the party since I am family. Mom stuttered but couldn't come up with an answer. My grandpa was so mad that he wasn't even interested in beating about the bush or indulging in some theatrics. He straight up got red in the face and started to yell at my mother. He went into angry grandpa mode, which is not a fun thing to watch. He literally yelled at my parents while asking what on earth they had been thinking. I guess at that point my parents had already realized that this was a confrontation, not a party like they had imagined. The two of them tried to defend themselves and offer excuses, but no one was listening to them anymore. Slowly, my grandma, aunts, uncles, and even my older cousins started to yell at them. My mom was a crying mess, while my dad couldn't look up from the floor. He didn't say much after my grandpa called him a sorry excuse of a man. They also called my mother some colorful names that I won't repeat here. It wasn't fun to witness this at all. It was horrible, and I was a crying mess while my younger cousins did their best to calm me down. There was a huge argument with everyone shouting at my parents. They didn't deny anything and instead tried to justify their reasoning. The yelling went on for a good hour before my grandpa finally dropped the bombshell on them. They told my parents that they had been disowned and that part of their inheritance was going to go to me since they had washed their hands of me. Everyone in the family also informed my parents that from further on, they wanted nothing to do with either of them. My parents, of course, told everyone that it was unfair and they were free to decide if they wanted to keep me in their lives or not. That one made me cry hard. I thought that the confrontation would bring me some kind of peace, but it turned out to be worse for my mental health. Like I said, none of this was a fun experience for me. I was already heartbroken, and seeing my parents show absolutely no remorse for their actions made me even more sad. Thank God my cousins were there to support me while I cried my eyes out. Anyway, my parents were pretty much kicked out after the family confronted them and said their piece. My grandparents had also made it clear that they are not welcome in their lives and that from now on, I think my parents, especially my mom, wanted to argue, but they decided that leaving would be better. They had been outnumbered and didn't really have the moral high ground to defend themselves, so the two of them just left the party. That was all 2 days ago. I have been staying with my grandparents because school doesn't start anytime soon. Things have been hard for me after the confrontation, so I'm just focusing on getting my head straight before going back to school. At this point, I don't want to be back home with my parents at all. I have come to realize that they don't want me. What's even more important is that I know they don't deserve me. My extended family has rallied around me and assured me that they would do everything in their power to make sure I'm able to have a decent life, even if my parents stop taking care of me. Believe me, it's their love that is slowly healing me from within. I haven't heard back from my mom and dad, and I'm not holding my breath for that either. They simply don't care about me, and I'm not sure what kind of relationship I'll be able to have with them now. So that's the update I have for you right now. I don't think anything interesting will happen after this, so maybe there'll be no more updates. I see that a lot of you have been worried about me, so I just want to assure you that I'm better now. That's all I have to say, I guess. Update 2. Okay, I didn't think I would be back with an update just a day later. Honestly, I'm a little in shock right now. I don't want my grandparents to worry about me anymore, so I've been trying to act all strong and indifferent in front of them. But boy, I'm about to burst with anxiety. Last night, just an hour after I made the last update, both my parents texted me. Yup. The two of them sent me separate texts asking to meet up. Apparently they needed to desperately talk to me about everything. I immediately told my grandparents about the text. They're still super mad at my parents, but left the decision to me. They think I'm capable of making the right call for myself. I think at this point they don't want to hear their excuses and may just want me not to go, but I kind of want to meet up with them and see what's going on. Maybe some of you will not agree with me, but I did tell my mom and dad that I would like to meet up and talk. Yes, I am weak, so sue me. I love my parents. Yes, I still do. I'm not like them. I can't just stop loving them even after my life has been turned upside down. They never gave me a chance, but I am going to give them a chance to talk. I don't know what they want to tell me, but the fact that they have reached out is something. My extended family is worried that they will fake being sorry to stop being disowned, but my grandparents already made it clear that there is nothing they can do now to change their minds. That's why I'm even more curious to know what they want to talk about. I will be very specific and tell you guys that I only confirmed a meeting with my dad. I told my mom that I wasn't ready to talk right now and needed some time, but I did tell her that eventually I will set up a meeting with her. They are still in the city as far as I can tell, but I'm not sure why they sent me separate texts. I mean, I wouldn't have minded sitting down with both of them at the same time. Well, it's better this way anyway. I don't know, but for some reason I simply have way too much anger against my mother right now. So I kind of want to maybe sort things with my dad before talking to her. My dad and I are supposed to meet tomorrow, and frankly speaking, I'm nervous as hell. My grandparents are still cursing him to the moon and back, and my paternal grandparents also reached out to me because my father finally told them what was going on. It really warmed my heart to know that even my paternal grandparents don't support my dad. They have been really apologetic for not being able to help me sooner, but I don't hold it against them. I'm just glad that they have promised to love me, even if I don't end up being related to them. All this is also making me see just how badly both my parents failed me. Even as I am writing this post, I am tempted to just cancel the meetings with both my parents. But I know that I need to face them both and maybe get some closure, if not anything else. So I will be off to meet my father tomorrow. Even if you don't agree with my decision, please wish me luck because I will definitely need it. Update 3. Hi there again. I'm back with an update for you. I'm so sorry that I went missing for an entire week. I had some very important things to do, so I haven't had the time or the mental energy to log on to Reddit and make an update. As of now, a lot of things have happened. I met with my father and I also met with my mother shortly after. None of those meetings went well for any of us. When I went to see my father, I could tell right away that he was an emotional mess. While he didn't cry in front of me, he was close to tears as we talked. I expected him to maybe try and make me understand his perspective. He did none of that. He actually straight away apologized to me for his role in what happened. I won't go into complete details of what he said because I feel like it's too personal, but I can tell you that he was genuinely sorry. Dad also told me that he has already decided to get a divorce. He was staying at a different hotel from Mom and told her that he didn't want to be with her anymore. Dad explained why the two of them sent separate texts and wanted to meet up separately. While I was happy that Dad had decided to move on, I couldn't help but feel a little resentful of him. I even told him that. I didn't want to hide my feelings to protect them. I let it all out. My anger, frustration, heartbreak, I just told him everything I was feeling. Dad just looked sad and kept saying sorry. Then he said something that I actually didn't expect from him anymore. He told me that I was the best daughter he could have had, and even if I wasn't his, he is proud that he got to raise me. That made me cry a little because it was just too much to handle. Before I went to meet Dad, I'd been thinking about something. I actually wanted to do a paternity test. It wasn't for him, it was for me. I wanted to know. So I asked him if he was willing to take a paternity test. Didn't matter to me if he was my dad, I just didn't want him to keep switching his stance about me. I talked to my grandparents and told them my reasoning as well. Again, they weren't thrilled, but they said that they would leave that decision up to me. I already told you that I met with my mother as well. The meeting went just as well as you can expect. She looked just as horrible as my dad did. When she saw me, she tried to rush to me and hug me. Her face fell when I sidestepped her and told her not to even think about touching me. I think she hadn't expected me to be so cold to her. I mean, when she was dropping me off near the homeless shelter, I was practically begging her not to do this and kept telling her that I didn't want to lose my parents. But it had been days since then, and I had changed my stance completely. I actually didn't even feel pity for her anymore. I was mostly angry, and I told her that when we talked. We had a long conversation where my mom kept begging me to come back and fix the family. It's funny how the tables turned. I almost laughed when she said that. I told her straight up that she deserved to be divorced and she deserved to be alone after all she did. She betrayed everyone around her and now she has lost everything. Mom was actually inconsolable when she realized that her husband and her daughter didn't want her anymore. Her affair partner had also walked away because he felt offended when Mom ended things with him to be with Dad. Her parents and family don't want anything to do with her, so she has been practically abandoned by everyone she knows. Again, I felt zero empathy for her. She did this to herself. I just wanted to meet her quickly because I had already made up my mind about something. I told her that she was dead to me. I didn't want to ever hear from her again. I was going to stay with my grandparents and they will become my legal guardians. My mom broke down when she heard this. She begged me not to abandon her. I simply laughed and left soon after. So yes, that happened in the past week. Dad is mostly silent but sometimes sends me a text, but Mom is still trying to contact me. I'm saving all the texts just in case my mom tries to fight my grandparents about legal guardianship. Dad and I have already started the process to get a DNA test, and we are waiting for the results. He has been checking up on me a little, but I guess he's too guilty or too depressed to talk to me. My grandparents and extended family have been fabulous. My cousins took me out for dinner and we had a blast. It did take my mind off things for a short time. I'm still struggling with everything, but at least I have people to lean on right now. Since all of you have been so sweet to me, I will come back and make an update later, but till then, I'll probably stay away from Reddit for a while. Update 4. Hi guys, it's been 3 months since my life was completely turned upside down after what happened to me. I knew life would never go back to normal, and it hasn't. But on the bright side, I'm doing better and have come back to my city. I'll tell you more about that later. I know some of you have been worried about me and curious about the DNA test, among other things. I do have those answers for you, which is why I made this update today. School started back up 2 weeks ago, so I have been a little busy. A lot of things changed for me, so I needed to settle down a bit before making an update. This is somewhat of a bittersweet update. After my last post, there had been a lot of drama with my mom. She was relentless in getting me to talk to her and even kept harassing my grandparents. She regularly showed up at their house to cause a scene. She only stopped when my grandpa threatened to call the cops on her. At least she had the sense to tone down her harassment after that. She did continue to text me and leave hysterical voicemails. It was all woe is me crap that made me even angrier. I hadn't blocked her because of the guardianship issue, which was solved 2 months ago. Some of you had been telling me to continue seeing my mom because she needed my help. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm responsible for being her rock, since she practically dropped me out of her life. She should have done better, but she didn't. Now she's just going to face the consequences of her actions. Her life blew up pretty badly. Dad is still leaving her, and now all her friends and colleagues have discovered what happened. Dad actually went online and admitted to everything that had happened. He faced a lot of backlash, but some sympathy. My mom, on the other hand, just received a lot of curses and was called all kinds of names. She tried to cry about it to my grandparents, who didn't give a single crap about her. From what I hear, she's now trying to gather sympathy and failing miserably. She thinks she is the victim here because she had acted on the words of my father. I call bull on that. Anyway, now I need to tell you about what happened with my dad. I met up with him after getting the DNA test results. Well, he is my dad. We both cried like babies when we read the results. My dad was very apologetic and inconsolable. It was easier for me to calm down than him. He repeatedly apologized and told me that he would do whatever possible to make up for his mistakes. But I told him that it was probably too late. Guys, I thought about things a lot. Yes, my father had been through hell, but I just can't forgive him for his role in all this. So I told him I needed space from him. I was a little skeptical about stopping all communications with him, but I did tell him that for now there wasn't much hope for reconciliation. I also told him about my grandparents being my legal guardians and how I wanted to stay with them from now on. Dad cried a lot at that, but accepted that he was in no place to protest that. We talk sometimes on text, but we're far apart and rare for me to send him a reply. As for my living situation, I am staying with my grandparents right now. They moved here and rented an apartment for us since I didn't want to go back to the old house. My mom and dad have been evicted, so my grandparents are thinking of selling the house now. I don't really care about that anymore. Right now, I'm concentrating on school so that I can get my grades up. I need to get into a good college and get a good job so that I will never have to depend on anyone again. I will be joining therapy soon, so I'll be getting help with all this trauma. Thank you so much for being so supportive of me. This is going to be my last update. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.